I'm going to turn it over now to Jonathan Baillie. Jonathan is going to wrap up for today and really just make a linkage with tomorrow, because we're going to regroup here to finish off this discussion at 8:30 till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, right in this room. But we also have the opportunity, if you have the energy and the will, to keep discussing and debating these ideas amongst yourselves. This room is open till at least 6 o'clock. Jonathan Baillie is the Director of Conservation for the Zoological Society of London. Sir.
Thank you very much. It was great to hear the initial presentations and see the flow from what the public wants to thoughts in terms of the science, and then moving more into thinking about sort of human needs, and then following through more into sort of our aesthetic, emotional needs, thinking more about the marine side, and then really mapping out into the future what 50% might look like. And those are some of the first maps we've seen of what it could be. And it's great to see a potential vision for the future. This session and leading into tomorrow, we're really trying to make some recommendations for the overall Congress in terms of what the future should look like. And we've talked about whether we're being ambitious enough, and whether 10% is enough in the oceans, and whether 17% is enough on land. And I think Harvey made the point quite clearly that there is no science that justifies this 10%, and there is no science that justifies the 17%, and we've just seen in this last presentation that we're not going to get the coverage of the world's ecosystem services or of biodiversity if we stick with these numbers. So we're at an interesting point here. We probably have an opportunity to be ambitious and to conserve 50% of the planet, but this is really our last opportunity to do that. And I get a sense at this Congress that there really isn't that sense of urgency. Now, despite the fact that we've just found out that we've probably lost 50% of the world's vertebrate biodiversity since 1970, but we're not jumping up and down and saying that this is really a juncture where we have to make some ambitious decisions and push for a future which is going to provide for biodiversity and which is going to provide for ecosystem services. Now, we have to map out how are we going to avoid an extinction crisis. And that will take science, but it also takes getting the public to buy into the fact that we need to avoid an extinction crisis. And I think on the ecosystem service side, we can clearly demonstrate what it means when we lose the world's ecosystem services for health and well-being into the future. So I would just like to thank the speakers today for excellent presentations, for having us think about this. We have a night to discuss it, to think about it, and hopefully you'll all be back here tomorrow morning, and we can really start to scope out what this might look like into the future, and we can make strong recommendations to the promise of Sydney. And I would hope that those strong recommendations include an ambitious future, one that will truly provide for future generations and their health and well-being, and one that will avoid a future extinction crisis. And I encourage us to think about the fact that we don't have a lot longer to make these important decisions, and there is a really, really strong sense of urgency. Thank you.